Get started on up with this breakout group number three. So today we are joined by Jacob Askroth of Purdue University Global, who will be walking us through some of the new strategies within digital credentialing. And myself, I am Jason Render, and I am a policy associate with the Corporation for a Skilled Workforce and a project lead with the Credential As You Go program. And for all of you all that were on our earlier call with our student panel, we had the opportunity to hear from one of the students from Purdue University Global, Kirsten, that had an amazing story to tell within her experiences as a student within the organization and really learning from that. And really want to kick it on off to you, Jacob, to take us through this session with all the good work that you all are doing.
All
Oops,
right,
Jacob,
sorry.
I
Can you hear
think
me? Took me a second.
no.
Oh,
We can hear you now, but I think we switched to the wrong screen. You had the presentation on up,
I
but it
got
switched to a
that.
different screen really quick.
Sorry about that. It's because I was muted and I tried to get back out to share my screen and to unmute, and then it switched screens on me. So you all got to see my inbox there briefly. Um, all right. So as Jason mentioned here, let me see if I can now get this sharing correctly. Is everyone seeing that now? Okay, great. Well, yeah, everyone, thank you very much for coming to this session. As Jason mentioned, my name is Jacob Askroth. I'm the Director of Digital Credentialing at Purdue University Global. I'm excited to have this opportunity just to kind of share some of the strategies that we've employed here at Purdue Global and some of the results that we've had on the digital credentialing front. So just really a brief overview of what I'm hoping to cover. The main sections of this session will really just focus on ways that we've been able to increase the issuance of incremental or digital credentials, increasing engagement with those digital badges or digital credentials once we've issued them, and then also how we've been able to build some internal awareness and support. Then just also focusing on some plans that we have for the future, and hopefully we'll have time for questions at the end. And I do just kind of want to share this as a disclaimer, before we get into all of this. I certainly recognize that we are still learning as we go with this. We've taken the approach at Purdue Global to try out different strategies and initiatives and see what works. And honestly, we just try not to overthink things and give things a go within reason, obviously. And we acknowledge that there's still a lot that we have to learn. And I look forward to being able to continue to learn within this group, in this network, and as peers. So, but again, just hoping to share some things that we've done. So really want to first focus on things that we've done to increase our issuance of credentials, of incremental and digital credentials specifically. And today our main initiatives with incremental credentials has been with micro credentials. And as many of you have likely seen, there is no standard definition of a micro credential. So I thought it'd be helpful to at least share what we at Purdue Global kind of conceptualize as a micro credential. And it is a bit broad here. It's a micro credential is a course or grouping of courses that represents a focused skill or area of knowledge. Micro-credentials are completed either as part of a degree program or by enrolling directly in a micro-credential as a standalone offering. So we currently have 4 categories of micro-credentials, which are the personalization series, foundation series, partnership series, and short course series. The personalization, foundation, and partnership series are all 4 credit and really are just coming from existing coursework that already are part of our degree programs, and they've just been bundled together to serve as micro credentials. And here are just a few examples of the digital badges that we issue. All individuals who complete a micro credential do receive a digital badge as a representation of their accomplishment. The short course series micro credentials are non-credit. Today we offer over 90 micro credentials, and they can, again, be taken either as part of a degree or as a standalone credential. And the number of students who've completed these micro-credentials has been pretty good since we launched them in 2020. As you can see, kind of a breakdown here of all the different categories and those who have completed those. We attribute that mainly to the fact that most of the 4 credit micro-credentials, mainly the personalization, foundation series, and the partnership series, Because those are the courses are already built in within degree programs, we tend to see that most of the people who complete those are our students who are already completing or pursuing a degree program with us, and then they kind of inadvertently satisfy or complete the requirements of the micro-credential, that they just get that along the way. If, as Jason mentioned, if you attended the student panel earlier, Kirsten Blair, one of our students, she came in and took one of our micro-credentials as a standalone course, or sorry, a standalone credential, and then has since used that to stack into her degree program. 17 of the students that we have that have completed micro-credential, of all these, only 17 have taken those as a standalone credential. Like I said, most of those are just our current students who are pursuing a degree anyway. And then 4 of those 17 then after taking it as a standalone. So Kirsten is one of these 4 actually, has then enrolled into a program subsequently. And so in addition to the micro-credentials, we've wanted to see where else we could develop and utilize digital badges. And so we've engaged various individuals and groups at our university to find compelling use cases for which we could issue a digital badge to earners. And so within the last year, we've added over 90 new digital badges. And they range from a variety of different kind of use cases. They've been from student leadership opportunities, academic excellence in meeting certain GPA thresholds, employee trainings and onboardings, faculty staff awards and service recognition. And we even thought it would be great to issue a digital badge to our students who complete the new student orientation as a way to introduce digital badges to them early on in their student experience, so that might help encourage them to pursue other digital credential or incremental credential opportunities. And sorry, this image came up a little sooner than I was planning, but the Chancellor's List is actually the badge that we issue the most. Here on this graph, you can see that there's been a lot of growth in the number of badges that we've issued to individuals. A lot of that has come from the Chancellor's List. If a student gets a 4.0 GPA in a given term, they earn the Chancellor's List. And we're seeing that that's the one that we've issued the most, and also the one that gets shared the most. Not surprising that students want to kind of brag that they got a 4.0 GPA. And in addition to adding new digital badge use cases, as well as trying to expand our micro credentials, we've really tried to streamline the processes and operations for issuing digital badges. And I don't believe this has had a strong or made a strong contribution to the number that was just on that graph there that we've issued, but I think it has certainly helped as we've worked internally with our student information systems team to set up reporting that identifies students once they satisfy all requirements for a badge, like a micro credential or making the Chancellor's List, and finding ways that we can put in a structured schedule or cadence as to when both manual and automated reports will be pulled, and then utilizing bulk upload features with the badging platform. I don't believe I mentioned this before, but we do utilize Credly to issue digital badges. Kind of transitioning over here to kind of this other section here is, how do you, so now that we've had increasing opportunities to issue incremental credentials and digital credentials, how can we increase earner engagement in that? And this has been kind of, I'll just say, hit or miss. As I said, we just really have tried to try different things out and see how well they've worked. And so some have worked better than others. But early on, once we started issuing digital badges, we learned from earners, got some feedback from them. We learned 2 important things. And that was first, that students don't know what micro-credentials or digital badges are. And so when they receive an email notification from a company called Credly that they've earned a digital badge, they are very suspicious. And a lot of students have said, well, I just thought it was just a phishing attempt, so I either deleted it or I ignored it. The other thing that we've learned and heard a lot is that students were not aware that they were going to earn a micro-credential. I've said previously that most of the students that earn our micro-credentials are our current students who are pursuing a degree, and so they end up getting the micro-credential as a result of completing the required courses of their degree programs. And so a lot of students would get an email again from Credly saying, congratulations, you've earned this micro-credential. that really kind of took them by surprise. Wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but we thought, well, maybe there's a better way that we can let students know ahead of time what this is going to be and why it might be helpful to them. So like a lot of you would do, we thought, well, let's maybe set up a landing page and try to educate and build some awareness among our student body about what micro credentials are, what digital credentials are, what you can do with them, why they could be beneficial. So last fall, we just created a very simple landing page and then started directing people to that page through some of our targeted email campaigns that I'll talk about in just a minute here, and also added that to the notification message that goes out when a badge is issued through Credly. In the last year that we've almost year that we've had this landing page, we've had pretty good visitation to that. So there's been over 8,000 users who have visited the page and 50,000 events. And an event is a user doing a specific action, like clicking on a different link within the site or watching a video or clicking a button, things like that. So happy that there's been some good traffic there. We've seen with a lot of our email campaigns that a lot of these peak when we sent out a bulk issue of digital badges. There's a correlation there. Because we've received feedback that students didn't know we had micros or that they were going to complete the requirements to earn them, we decided to try sending emails to targeted student groups to see if this would have any effect and would increase both the enrollment in our micro-credentials and also in the engagement in the digital badge. Meaning when I say engagement, I mean, are they accepting the badge? Are they then going to add it to their profile on LinkedIn? Are they going to share it on social media platforms and things like that? And so we kind of identified three main groups that we wanted to start messaging. And the first was, our students who lacked one course in order to complete a micro-credential. And this is a little snippet here of an email that would go to them just saying, hey, just so you're aware, you just have one more course you need to take and you'll earn this health science micro-credential. And we made it a point to identify what the course is. And if you have an open elective left in your degree program, we really encourage you to take this micro-credential. And then again, we would include a link to our landing page and try to really describe why they would want a micro-credential. Another group was those who are already in the last course to earn a micro-credential. Again, a lot of students told us that they had no idea that they were going to receive a micro-credential. And so with those that had already enrolled in that last course, we wanted to let them know at the end of this term, if you pass the course, you're going to get a micro-credential and you'll receive a digital badge from Credly. And then lastly, it's just kind of, this is a little bit more of a larger group. Anyone else who has ever received a digital badge but not yet accepted it. And I think that accepting a badge might be something that is a little unique to Credly. I don't believe on Canvas credentials you have to accept the badge. Credly requires you to accept the badge in order to do anything with it. And so we started some specific email campaigns to this group, but we were particularly interested in this first group that those who have completed all of the requirements for a micro-credential except for one last course. And so we started sending some emails out there, pulling reports from our student information system to identify these students. And we started just sending emails to these groups just about once a quarter. So that's the second column here is number of students emailed. Those are how many students we emailed at each of those times. And then the third column there is those that we emailed who then registered for that remaining course that was identified to them in the email. So it's not a lot to be honest, it wasn't as high as I was hoping that it would be. Obviously we emailed 885 students the first time. I was hoping we'd get somewhere close to 500 students that would then enroll and take that last course and finish the micro-credential. We didn't see that much, but we were at least pleased that we did see some. And we're still waiting obviously on some data from that last group we emailed. In the third group that we emailed in April, we thought, well, we should really, in order to understand if our email is having an impact, we got to create a control group. And so we split that group into two different groups, those that received our email, letting them know that there was one course that they still had to take in order to earn the micro-credential, and then we didn't send that email to the other half. Some of the students that never got emailed still did end up enrolling in that final course, but those who did get their email did register for that last course at a higher rate. So that told us that even though it's not as high as we'd like it to be, that sending that email does add some value and likely notifies the student, hey, like there are these micro credential opportunities for you. It may be something you're interested in. Why don't you talk to your advisor about getting in this last course? And I talked a little about the acceptance. The learner has to accept the badge. If there are any students, and we've just kind of done this periodically and somewhat regularly over the last year, that we identify the students who haven't accepted the badge. Again, they have to accept it in order to have perpetual access or ownership and be able to share it. If there's a digital certificate within the badge, they can download and print it. But again, they have to accept it. So accepting it is the first call to action there. With our reminder emails, we would see a lot of little jumps in the number of acceptances each time we would send those out. But as you can see, we've significantly grown over the past couple of years once we've started doing that. Now, this part here may seem like something that's not that important, but over the past year or so, we've adopted, also, in addition to everything else, we've also adopted the mindset that badge earners are going to be more likely to accept the badge, share it, take advantage of it if it's something that looks nice, professional, official, and just overall cool. And so we don't have any data to really confirm, this assumption here. It's really just going off a hunch, but in just to kind of compare, I guess, to seeing where we've gone. In 2020, when we started issuing digital badges, there really wasn't any type of consistent theme or format across different digital badges. So you can see there's some pretty strong differences here. These look fine, obviously, and a learner might be excited to get these, especially that shiny gold one. But in 2022, we decided that at the very least we need to develop a consistent framework that has very set, themes, formats, colors, branding, and that nature, that so that these at least look consistent. And as someone is scrolling through their LinkedIn feed and they see, these being shared, they recognize, oh, that's Purdue University Global. But then in 2023, our university did a rebranding and updated the logo to update colors and style guides, and that just offered us another opportunity to really make these look even better. And we even kind of adopted an informal goal that we wanted to have the best looking digital badges out there. And we're proud of these. And so, again, we don't have anything that we can point to saying, oh, that these new badge images really have made it so that people are more likely to accept them and share them, or even pursue incremental credential opportunities. But we do believe that it can only help. And so we do try to closely follow sharing activities of our digital badges, and not surprisingly, LinkedIn and Facebook are the two main platforms on which users are sharing or posting their digital badges. And here are just a handful of examples that we've seen, as well as some of the trending behaviors of the sharing behaviors of our users. It's been a little lower lately than we have wanted, and we're not entirely sure what that is attributed to. Hopefully by the end of this calendar year, it'll at least be up to where it was the previous year. But happy that the users are out there and adding them to their digital profiles and things like that. And then again, this last section here is really just more, not so much working with users of students and earners and things like that, but really how do we build support for and internal awareness within our own institution. And so we've tried to be intentional about this as well. I set out at the beginning of this year in 2023 of just setting up meetings with each of our academic school deans and their staffs, just to discuss and present to them what our current digital badging efforts are and where we hope to expand them further. And in these, we also took an opportunity to share some ideas and suggestions of things that they could do that would help increase badge engagement. Some of those were, very simple in terms of, if the student comes to you or mentions that they got an email from Credly saying something about a digital badge and they weren't sure what it was, to really encourage that student to accept their badge, or if they had questions about it, they could certainly refer them to our side. Also, to even just everyone, as you scroll through LinkedIn and you see these badges shared by students, go ahead and just provide some positive feedback and hit the like button, and just as a way to further kind of promote Purdue Global as a digital credentialing university. Made some important presentations to key stakeholder groups. This included, but was not limited to, our faculty senate and our student advisory boards. Again, similar presentations of just letting them know, here's what we've been doing with digital badging. Here's what we'd like to do in the future. Do you have any suggestions or feedback or potential use cases that we should consider looking at that may warrant issuing a digital badge? And we received a lot of positive feedback in those situations. We also took time to make updates to our academic catalog so that there was some intentional mentions of offerings, particularly our microcredentials, that it's made clear that when someone earns a microcredential that they receive a digital badge. Again, so that if a student is looking at our catalog, they know, oh, when I complete this, I receive a digital badge. And then lastly, and most recently, just created in the realm of some digital badge governance, I presented our digital badging handbook to our academic administration council, which is our main internal governing committee for academic programs. And this was just to provide some structure and a framework for things that the university will and will not issue badges for. We've had to actually turn down a few proposals recently of individuals that have wanted to issue a digital badge on Credly from the university, and it was helpful to have a framework to make the decision of whether or not this fit in with things that we have decided as a university to badge for and what we're allowed. And then just really quickly, some things that we're looking forward to and hoping to accomplish in the near future. Everything that I've talked to you about previously with microcredentials and our other digital badging efforts has been done, just mainly by myself and colleagues that I work with. We haven't worked closely with our marketing team. And so I think that that's a big opportunity for us, is to find ways to leverage student stories of incremental credentials, like Kirsten Blair, who was on that student panel. And I think that'll help us continue to expand enrollments and completions of those credentials. We've really been talking about developing an internal credential ecosystem that features incremental credentials. And so we're very much looking at kind of the stack as you go model, where degree programs are made up of a series of stackable credentials. And then also just making our university operate better and making the earning of and issuing of digital credentials more commonplace. And one example of this is working, partnering more with our advisors and our student success coaches to promote and direct students to take advantage of our incremental credential opportunities, such as our microcredentials. To date, that hasn't been very strong. So we look to improve that. And then lastly, we're also, like many institutions, are looking at learning and employment records or a digital wallet so that our users can curate and own and share all the digital credentials that they earn, both from us and at any time across their learning experience. So anyway, hope that was helpful, and would welcome any questions.
Well, I'm going to jump in with a question right off then, Jacob. So thank you so much for this.